Hi, my name is Veronica, and if your favorite hobby is reading, then you're in the right place. Today, I want to talk about the 26 books that are my 2026 TBR. This is the 26 books that I want to read in 2026, and some of these books are a part of series, or they are the start of a series, or I'm on the second book in the series, and a lot of these are actually going to be dark romance because I got into dark romance at the end of last year, and I'm still so new to it that I really want to start exploring it, so I tried to put as many as possible on this list. The first book that is on my 26 books in 2026 that I want to read is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I actually read this a couple years ago, but since it's been so long, I wanted to pick it back up and give it another shot. I actually DNF'd it about 80% in because it was too spicy for me. This time I just plan on skipping the spice because I know what to expect with Elsie Silver now. I've read quite a bit of hers, but I really want to go back and read, or have the opportunity to read Powerless and Reckless, and I'd like to get the best experience. I should reread Flawless first. So I'm really excited to pick this back up. I feel like from what I remember, Summer and Rhett were a really cute couple, and I love that there was bull riding, and that she was coming in and trying to clean up his image. And since this is really one of the most popular series that she has, if not the most popular, I want to go back and really just get the full experience of it. So I'm looking forward to picking this one up in 2026. The next one is Heartless Beloved, which is the second book in the North Shore series by Lola King. I actually read Beautiful Fiend at the end of 2025, and to be honest, I liked it. I thought it was okay. It was a little rough for me. There was a lot of stuff going on in there that I didn't really love, but I've heard that this is the best one in the series, and I'm really excited to see. I think it's Z. Is that how you say his name, or Zai? I've heard that he's really great, and the little crumbs that we were getting in Beautiful Fiend made me really excited for his story, so I'm super excited to check this out. I feel like I want to go on with the rest of the series because I've heard so many good things about her Silver Fall series, which follows this, so I want to at least read this one, and if I don't finish this series, then I'm going to continue on to the next one because that's the one that I've heard the most amazing things about, but I know you have to start with the series first, so I'm super excited to check this out as well. The third one is City of Bones, and I was going to read this last year, but I just had so many big books that I was reading, and I didn't get the opportunity to get to it, but I didn't read this as a child, and I've just seen this book just circulating so much on Book Talk, the book by Cassandra Clare, and I watched the movie as a kid, and I watched the show Shadowhunters as a kid, and really, really liked it, so I already know the twists in the story, and so I obviously expect it, but I still want to read it, and I actually read a chapter of this sometime last year and was really intrigued by the way the story started. So I really want to read this and potentially the rest of Mortal Instruments depending on how I feel, but I know you have to do the first three in this and then read the Infernal Devices, which I've heard is her best series by far, and then come back to Mortal Instruments. So I don't know if I can get to that all this year, but I want to at least start with City of Bones and just see how I feel about this. And obviously, I feel like a book is better than a movie, so if this is half as good as the movie was, I know I'm gonna love this. The next one I'm counting as one, which is The Predator and the Reaper, which is a part of the Darkverse series. And same thing with this, I actually read The Predator probably like 2 years ago. I read about 50-ish% and had already been told that because you're in the main character's POV, Mariana, right? Mariana or Marana. It's a lot of you just dealing with how she's feeling and having her internal perspective. And I was told that even though I got bored by it. And I've just heard so much good things about the series, and honestly just decided to sit there and bite the bullet and buy the entire thing. And from what I remember, the way that the story starts out, it's really action-packed. She sneaks into this guy's house and tries to him, and I just remember being super intrigued by that, and have honestly not stopped thinking about the start of this book since I read it. And since I've gotten back into dark romance, I really want to sit there and explore this series. I've heard such good things, especially about this couple, so I really want to make sure that I at least get to these two this year, and then if I love them, continue on with the series. So I'm excited to check these out as well. Then The Maddest Obsession. I read The Sweetest Oblivion last year in June, and I really, really loved it. That was a book that had been on my TBR for about 2 years, and for whatever reason, I just kept putting it off, and I finally picked it up, and honestly, let me just show you how much I loved it. Those are tabs of things that Nico and Elena would say to each other or were doing with each other, or things that were going on that I really enjoyed. And so I've heard that the Maddest Oblivion, I'm sorry, why do I keep doing that? The Maddest Obsession is by far the best book in the series, and that everybody really loves Christian. So I really want to see what he's about. And I saw that this is past and present perspective, or POV. So I'm really excited to check that out. And I just feel like because this one is talked about so much and I really like this book, that I'm going to love this one. So I just felt like I had to put it on my 2026 TBR. And that way it also pushes me to finally continue the series, because for whatever reason I consistently struggle to start this. Like I said, this was on my TBR for 2 years. So I just need to have the motivation to start it. So that's why it's on my TBR. And then the next one is Play With Me by Becca Mack, which is a part of the Playing for Keeps series. And I have actually started this book. I'm about 50-ish pages in, and I've heard that the further along you go, the better it gets, and that obviously since these are interconnected standalones, you see a little bit of each character, or the characters in previous books and the next book. So I really wanted to sit there and start from the beginning and read through it. So Play With Me is on my 2026 TBR, and maybe the entire Playing for Keeps series, but honestly I want to at least get to this one and see how I feel. To be honest, starting out this was really cringy, and for me as a reader, it takes a lot for me to be cringed out or to be icked out and to think about that in a story. A lot of times I can just get through it and it doesn't bother me. So for now, that's why I put this story down, because since I think she's 24, the way that they talk, it just is weird. But I really like the MMC in this, and I like that instead of it being the girl is obsessed with him, she's obsessed with him. And with it being brother's best friend, if you've read any brother's best friend before, typically the FMC is the one that is always into the guy and is always like had this unrequited crush for him since she was little. And with it being the other way around, that's why I'm really intrigued by the story. And I've also heard that if you like the DC Star series or the Windy City series, that you'll love this. And I've read all of the Windy City series, and well, you'll see this is on my TBR, but the most recent book in the DC Star series, I want to read that. But I've read those series and I've loved them, and people said if you love those, to read this. So I really want to give this a shot. I'm going to not let the cringy parts like keep me from reading it. I'm definitely going to go back to the story. So I'm excited to check this one out as well in 2026. And then my first Rena Kent book on my 2026 TBR is Blood of My Monster, which is a part of the Monster trilogy. And I've just heard so many good things about this series, and that this is by far her best, but that it's underrated because Legacy of Gods, which as you saw, that was previously on my TBR, that it's really good, and that if you like that, you'll also love this, and that the people in this, their son is getting a book, right? Hunt the Villain. So if I want to read that, I feel like I have to read the series first. And I know that this is a military romance where instead of the guy being the bodyguard, the girl is going to be the bodyguard, but that she's posing as a man in the military. And I just think that that's such a unique concept. And even though I'm not like the biggest fan of military romances, I feel like if anybody's going to do it right, it's Rena Kent. So I'm really excited to try this out, and I definitely want to read the entire trilogy in 2026. So I have this, and I'm really excited to read this. I just feel like I'm gonna love it, so that's why this one's added. Kill Switch and the other book in the Devil's Night series, I also have the 2 novellas that go in between Kill Switch and Nightfall, and then after Nightfall. And this is about Damon, and from what I've seen in the previous stories, he is just an unhinged man, and I feel like he's probably going to be misunderstood. I don't know, honestly, if this is going to end up being my favorite book, but I've heard such glowing reviews about the guy, and that he has a really good redemption arc, and that his and Winter's story is one that you really need to read, and that it's going to be difficult. But since I really liked Corrupt, and I know that that's a very unpopular opinion, but I really enjoyed it. And then I read Hideaway, and that wasn't my favorite, but I loved Banks. I just thought she was such a badass FMC. So from that, I know, I don't want to give anything away, but I know that with Damon having made like appearances in those books, you're obviously not getting the full story of it, and the little breadcrumbs that you get throughout the story that are leading to what you're going to find out about him, I feel like are so impactful. So I really want to check this out and just make my own decision and decide if I like him. And then since this is such a chunky book, I honestly have no idea if I'll get to Nightfall. So I want to say the entire series is on my 2026 TBR, but if I don't get to that, it's for sure going to be Kill Switch. So can't wait to check this one out as well. And then God of Fury, this is also on here. I read the first 4 books in the Legacy of God series, and I just heard such amazing things about Nikolai and Brandon. And this will be my first romance, and I just feel like this is a good place to start because I've seen just such glowing reviews on it and how many people love Nikolai and Brandon's story, and that it's just going to be one that's going to change you. And I feel like that's something that I want, especially within a dark romance. I read Edge of Darkness last year, and I really loved that. And from what I'm seeing in that compared to this, those are like the books that are the best of the best within dark romance and like Haunting Adeline and stuff. But I really want to read this, and if I love this, then I definitely want to check out more romances. I just heard that this story is so like impactful and deep, and it really resonates with people, and that even if you like the previous people like Killian and Jeremy, that Nikolai is going to be your favorite. And I just want to see what all the hype is about this book and see if I also resonate with the story, and if Nikolai ends up taking the #1 spot as my favorite Legacy of Gods man. And then we have another book by Rena Kent on the TBR. If you could tell, there's a common trend. Rena Kent is actually the person that got me back into dark romance in August of last year. So I've just been working my way through her books, and that is what sparked my love for dark romance again. I used to read it all the time, and then I don't know if I lost interest or if I just started gravitating towards more just regular romance, but I finally picked up God of Malice, and just from that story, even though it starts out really crazy, I really just enjoyed the elements that she had in there, and that this was going to be kind of like an overarching storyline, and that she had just built this whole world, and I heard so many good things about it. So I said I had to check out more books by her. So that's why I had like the Monster Trilogy and God of Fury and then Sweet Venom. So this is the second book in the Viper series. I've already actually read Beautiful Venom, and I really like that book. I know a lot of people say that like Cain and Killian are similar, and I can see the similarities in them, but since I loved Killian, I loved Cain. And then seeing that this is going to be about Jude and Violet, I've seen like really good reviews on this, so I'm super excited to check this one out. And I like that this has like kind of a backdrop of hockey. That's obviously not the main focus, but that's in there, and that's one of the things that I love to read is hockey romances. And I also love that it has like a secret society in it, and I feel like, I hope that's going to be explored more in the story. So I am really excited about this one. Then I'm counting these ones as one also. So this is the Dueling Crowns and Crown Tie, which is the 4th book in the Lightlark saga. So Dueling Crowns is about Grimm and Oro, and it's from their perspective. I don't know like a ton of the stuff that's going to be happening here. Obviously I haven't read the book yet, but I know that you're supposed to read that before Crown Tie, so that's why I'm counting them as one. And obviously I am a Grimm girl through and through. That's why he's being shown. And I just really want to see how they both feel about Isla. I don't really know how you say her name, but I want to see kind of what their perspective is on her whole situation and their viewpoint on the love triangle, and how they are feeling about things that have happened in the past and that are going to occur. I'm very curious what they think about this whole situation, because obviously throughout these books you only get Isla's POV. So to have theirs and this really like pretty special edition or regular edition, I just think it's so cool. I think that these are gorgeous. So I really can't wait to just see, you know, what these are about. See, that's telling me that you're obviously going to be talking about something that happened previously, but I'm really excited about this. And then Crown Tide, I haven't seen a ton on this book yet, but I know that this was originally supposed to be a trilogy, and then it got extended into now I think it's going to be 5 books. I've seen a couple of things on this, but I've tried to avoid any input on it because I want to make my own view on it. I don't want to have like outside influence on this. So that's why I've tried to avoid any discussion on it, but I hope I really like it. And at least from what I've seen, even though I tried to avoid it, people have liked it. I'm assuming that the love triangle is still going to continue in this, which that frustrates me so much because it's glaringly obvious who she likes and who she has the most chemistry with. But I will be here and I'll stick through it through the end, even if the love triangle does continue in this. So those are my next two, and I really want these to be high up on my TBR because I am so excited to see what Grimm has to say, and I really want to see if this book is going to redeem the whole saga for me. And then we have Psychotic Obsession, which is about Tobias and Arya, which are the parents of Cade. And this is a prequel to the Edge of Darkness trilogy. And I have read the Edge of Darkness trilogy, as I mentioned previously, and it just broke me, but in the best way possible. I just feel like those books are top tier, and I don't know that anything is really going to ever compare to that. But I've heard in order to read the Web of Silence duet, which I'm including with this one as well, so Psychotic Obsession and the Web of Silence duet, you have to read this first, because if you don't, I believe it's somewhere in book 2 that it spoils something that happens in this story. So I originally planned not to read this, and I know that that's a travesty. I am a Tobias person through and through. I absolutely loved him in Edge of Darkness, and I just heard that he's very different in this story because obviously this is 20 years prior to the Edge of Darkness starting, and to be honest, I don't want to view him any differently than I currently view him. And since he has done some shady things, I know this is really going to explore a lot of the breadcrumbs that were sprinkled throughout Edge of Darkness, and from those that made me think obviously this man was really unhinged, and I just don't want it to change my perspective. But in order to read Web of Silence, like I said, you have to read Psychotic Obsession, so I don't want anything spoiled for me. So I'm going to check it out. I hope I love it. I hope this doesn't change my perspective or anything on him. I truly don't think it can. I already love the man. And then I want to read the Web of Silence duet because I've heard really, really good things about that as well, and I've just loved obviously Edge of Darkness that I read by Lee Rivers, so I want to try to read as much by her as possible. And I saw that was it Luciella, I think that's how you said her name, and Base are getting books, so I'm like, I really have to jump on the train and just start reading these, so I'm excited for that. And also Psychotic Obsession is high up on my list because I just have to get to the Web of Silence duet. Reign of Shadows and Endings and the whole Legacy series. I every year try to do a big series or read a popular book series that I've just been looking forward to, and this is one of them. These are just really chunky. All 4 of them are about the same size, so that's the only reason why I for sure say Reign of Shadows and Endings, because I'm super interested in this book. I've read the first 2 books in the Lady of Darkness series, and I plan to only read up to the 3rd. But from what I've seen, you can read the first 2 in Lady of Darkness and then go into Reign of Shadows and Endings and be okay. So I really, 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 really want to read this book. I've just seen such good things about this series, and I've heard that this is like the best that she's written, and that these are going to be very unlikable characters, and that even up to, I think it's book 3, you're still not gonna like them. And to be honest, I love to see a good character arc, character growth. I read Zodiac Academy last year, and if you've read that, there are characters in that series that literally up until like book 4, 5, 6, you cannot stand, and you think there's never a chance that you're going to end up loving them, and you do, and it's shocking. It really is. So I just want to see if that's going to be the case within this series, and if these characters are going to be ones that, you know, I really love and that stick with me for a long time, and if they're going to have good character growth like that did. And if it did, then I just know I'm going to love this series. I honestly have no doubt that regardless of that, I'm going to love this because I've loved Lady of Darkness, and I just heard amazing things about this, so I can't wait to read this, truly. And then The Gilded Cage by Lynette Noni. I read The Prison Healer at the beginning of last year, I want to say, sometime in February maybe, and I really, really loved it. There was a plot twist at the end of that book, really 2, that I did not see coming, and I feel like with a YA, it's kind of hard to have really good plot twists because they're obviously catered to a young audience, and it's something that you would have read when you were younger. But when I was reading it, actually I listened to the audiobook of it. It was just amazing. The characters in that were just some that I really, really love, and for whatever reason, I did not continue with the series, and I don't know why. I wish I would have, because I've just heard as the books go on, they get better and better and better, and if it's any better than The Prison Healer, then this is going to be one of my favorite YA trilogies that I've ever read. So I'm excited to check this one out. Obviously, I can't say anything about this because it's the second book in the series, but The Prison Healer was just about this girl that works in a prison, and she essentially got sentenced to something, and you're trying to figure out what it is and why she has been in prison for, I want to say it was 10 years. And there is somebody that comes in that has to compete in these trials, and she's very sickly, and because she's sickly, the prison healer decides to take her place in these trials because she understands that obviously like she can't perform. But with these trials, if you don't perform, you die, and if you perform in them and you win your freedom. So that just sounded like such a cool concept, and you're really trying to figure out like, why is this the case? Why is this prison healer so insistent on filling in for this other person, and like what is going on within this? So yeah, I really loved it, and I definitely want to try to finish the rest of the series this year. And again, if I don't, at least The Gilded Cage. I feel like I'm probably going to listen to the audiobook on this as well, because the audiobook of The Prison Healer was just so good. House of Pain and Blood. This is embarrassing. I have had this on my TBR for the past 2 years, and I even have a special edition of it, which is crazy. This was one of my first special editions, and I couldn't pass it up because I thought it was just so gorgeous. But I've seen glowing reviews about this as well, and for whatever reason, it's very similar to The Sweetest Oblivion in that it's been on my TBR for so long, but I just have not picked it up, and I'm just a mood reader. So even if I try to pick it up, I'm like, I'm not in the mood for it. I try again, I'm not in the mood for it. I try again, I'm not in the mood for it. And if I could just read it this year, I would really just be grateful. I would. I just want to get to this book. I've seen such good things about it. I know it's a duet. I know it's a mafia arranged marriage set in the 1920s, and I'm like, whoa, that sounds so cool. That sounds right up my alley. So I just need the mood reader in me to step aside and let me read this book so I can know what everybody's talking about, because if I can know and if I can get this off my TBR this year, that would be absolutely amazing. Bad Bishop by LJ Shin. Ooh, I am so excited about this. I got this in, I think it was July or August of last year, whenever this book first came out, and I saw such great things about this. I just sadly did not get to it because I had a lot of books on my TBR at the end of the year that I really wanted to get to. But I said this has to be on my 2026 TBR because I've seen amazing things. I know it's a mafia arranged marriage. Again, I'm seeing a common theme in the books that I'm picking up. But I have seen the best things on this. I have just seen that you're really gonna love the story, and I've read other books by LJ Chin, and I really like her writing style, and I really enjoy like the stories she tells, and that a lot of her characters are just kind of seem like they're unredeemable, and I really like an underdog. I really like to see character growth and see characters, you know, really come into their own and realize the mistakes that they made in the past can be redeemed if they're with the right person. So I'm really curious about this. I love this. I also really love these edges on this. I just think those are so cool. And then I know she has a second book coming out in, I want to say April. That is the second book in the series. So I definitely want to read this before that comes out. And I am just really looking forward to this one. Sinners Anonymous. This has also been on my TBR for a very long time. I am just kicking myself that I have not picked this book up. It's a similar thing to House of Pain and Blood in that I'm a mood reader. If I don't feel it, I'm not going to pick it up. I've read the first page. That's done nothing for me, obviously, but I've heard that this one is good, and then the duet that is right after this is even better. Sinners Consumed and Condemned, I believe. And I know Sinners Atoned just came out, and then that's getting a second book. So I really want to jump into the series. I really want to try to enter my like mafia era, and just check out the OGs that are good, that people have just talked about and raved about, and this is one of them. So if I like this, I feel like I can definitely jump into the next 2 books in this series. So I would say for sure this one, I need to get to this book, and if I do, then I want to try to read the rest of the series. 7 Deadly Thorns. Honestly, I don't know a lot about this book. I got it in my Fairy Lou adult subscription box, and I just really love this cover. I think it is so gorgeous, and it just really intrigued me. And it said it's I am the darkness, my magic destroys. I think this is her going to an academy where she has to learn how to control her magic, and there's an assassin there. Okay, I'm intrigued. That is trying to track her down. Oh, they're faking engagement. Oh, I'm intrigued even more. I have not seen anybody talk about this book. And again, I was just really intrigued by the cover. I just think it's gorgeous. And also the character art in this is absolutely stunning. I just feel like Fairy Loot does such a good job with the artists that they get to do their character art on their end papers. So that's what intrigued me about this book, was the cover, the character art, and the synopsis. So this is another one that I'm really excited to get to. I hope it's at the beginning of the year, because this one is just calling my name. Sin Bin, which is the 5th book in the DC Stars series. This is about Hannah and the coach Brody, and this one is age gap. I actually do like an age gap. I used to be a person that was not the biggest fan of it, but as I've read more and more books, I've really come to actually love it. I feel like there's a lot that you can learn from them being like at different stages in their life. And since this is the hockey coach and then one of the players' sisters, that's just always a trope I love. I think that's going to be so fun. And instead of it being like a fellow player, it's his coach. So if you know who the guy is that the sister is related to, you'll know that this guy is absolutely goofy. He is one of my favorite characters in the series, and actually his book comes after this, which is one that I'm super excited about. But this also came out at the end of last year, and I really haven't seen anybody talk about this, but I know that Chelsea does such a good job in depicting like women in male dominated industries and just women that are very powerful and are really troopers. And I have no doubt that this character is also going to be one of them. And if I know her too, there's going to be some type of emotional thing within the story that pulls at your heartstrings. So I just have to read this when I'm in the mood for a hockey romance, and when I'm in the mood to read some more of Chelsea's writing. And then my last book that is on the books that are currently out that I want to read is Haunting Adeline. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna read it. I'm a little scared. I've heard that that one is very heavy, I guess is the best word, and that's not really one that you just jump into if you're a new reader. I've seen some people online that have actually said that that's their first dark romance book, and I said to myself, wow, that is amazing that you could start with that, because I am still scared. And I've read Edge of Darkness, and I've read, honestly, God of Malice was my first, and if you've read the first 2 chapters, they're a jump scare. They're a jump scare. So I just feel like I have to read that when I'm in the mood for a stalker, when I'm in the mood to meet Zayd Meadows and see what he's about. I for sure want to at least check it out. If I don't finish it, if it's not for me, that's okay. But I felt like I needed the motivation to finally pick this book up. So that's why that's a part of this list. And I just want to see what all the hype is about, honestly. I want to see if this is the type of dark romance that I like, or if soccer romances are not just for me, because I've read quite a few, and I've noticed that even though I like the dark romance elements, whatever it is within their psyche is not for me, and I don't enjoy it. But I know that this is one of the OG that people like, so I really want to see if I like this. And if I do, I want it to, I don't know about Hunting Adeline. I heard that that's even harder than Haunting Adeline. So I don't know if I want to read that, but maybe I want to read like Phantom, or Does It Hurt, which I have right here, something else by her. And I just know that she's really like well regarded in the dark romance space, so I really want to see if that's another book by her that I want to love and check out. So that's just something else that's on my radar. And the last 4 are new releases. The first is going to be The Ballad of Falling Dragons, and that is the second book in the Moonfall series. I actually have the first book right here, which is When the Moon Hatched. I have that all annotated. I read this book a year and a half ago now, and I really liked it. I love the main character, Rave, and I've weirdly started seeing a lot of negative views on her, and I'm kind of shocked, because I feel like she's just such a badass FMC, and she has a really great character arc in this. So for me, that's very shocking. But I love in FMC that you really have to sit there and get to understand why she is the way she is, and why she is somebody that really has to sit there and protect her peace. And I feel like that is brave. So I'm super excited for Ballad of Falling Dragons. If you know, that book was supposed to come out in October of last year, and it didn't, and I was just crushed. But I would rather a book come out and you have it fleshed out and everything flow cohesively, especially when it's been such a while since this book came out. And if you've read this is obviously a chunky book. There's a lot going on in the story, and with it being as popular as it is, I feel like you want to make sure that everything is the way it should be. And I applaud her for pushing out the date until she felt comfortable with releasing it. If you've seen some books, sometimes authors want to, or publishers want to release books before I feel like they're ready. And I feel like based on this book, there is no way that that book would not be good, especially if you're taking your time to really make sure that everything is the way you want to be. So I'm really excited for that next book. That is literally my most anticipated read, well, outside of one more, of next year. And I can't wait till April to read it. I am literally just like, give me that book, please. Please, can you just insert it in my memory? I want to already know what happened. Next is Furybound, which is a sequel to Diarybound, and if you saw anything on Book Talk last year, this book was blowing up. They actually got traditionally published, which that's so exciting. I love that for them. And originally, Furybound was supposed to come out in July of last year, but because they got published, it got pushed to May of this year. So that is the next one that I'm super, super excited about. The way that the end of this book ended, travesty, travesty. I was like, there are things within this that obviously if you've read fantasy, you start to understand the things that are popping up and what they're going to lead to. But when that came up, I said, I did not see that. I don't know how you got me, but I'm so, so, so excited about that. And the last two are the sequel to Nightshade, which is Daybreak, and In Her Own League by Liz Tom-Forty. And those are the 26 books that I want to read in 2026. If you made it this far, what are the 26 books or some books that you're excited to read in 2026?